Warning, this episode contains graphic language, dragon vomit, daddy murder, and as always, teen angst. Also, there will be spoilers for chapter 54 to the end of Brisingr, book 3 of the Inherent Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Listen at your own risk.
Is this a podcast, or is this just fantasy? We're just two nerds and we love our fantasy. So join us if you want to nerd out. Time to start the podcast and see. Anyway, here's the show.
Hello, readers. I'm Dane Patterson, the host who also brings up his sword at the beginning of every conversation. Not because I'm obsessed, but because my sword is really cool.
Right, that. And I'm Jacqui Lanier, and is this a podcast or is this just fantasy? The podcast where the farewells are beautiful, everyone's a shade slayer, and the void of loneliness is endless. Mixed bag.
If you'd like to support us on Patreon, there's a link in the show notes. If you can't or just don't want to, we totally understand and just ask that you please rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
And as always, visit us at isthisjustfantasypod.com, our website that 3 full seasons in is still out there on the internet waiting for you to watch our faces in our video episodes and buy our sweet, sweet nerd-themed merch.
Can you believe we've done 3 seasons of this show?
Yes, I can.
Wow.
I've read the books. I'm in it.
Let's do it.
I'm in the Matrix, Dane. We also will be posting updates on the release schedule for season 4 on Inheritance over on our Instagram. So check at Just Fantasy Pod to find out when we're going to be kicking off book 4.
Dope.
But before we wrap up the final chapters of Brisingr, I want to run it back to review what we covered in our last episode. That's right, the one that left us on a cliffhanger you couldn't be bothered to give any fucks about, Dane.
Well, we were done.
Done, yes. But I was done and excited. You were done and done.
You know, after you've had your 7th vignette with Roran and Katrina, you learn to just move on.
I just think that was nice, like maybe some light couples therapy for you.
I got all the vignettes in this whole book.
So we started last time as one of this book's signature long-ass days is winding down. Eragon and Ormus are still chatting, covering hits like Angela, Prophecies, Solemnum, Runan and Rider Swords, Sorcery and Dragon Riding Shades, and shortcuts to True Name Spirit Quests. Ormus updates him on Sloane's life of grudging luxury in Elismira, and Eragon almost entirely forgets about the butcher that he cursed. But with a quick Manoa pit stop, finally, this day is over. Somebody throw a party, but keep it down because these babies need to sleep, Dane.
They're so tired.
I know. The next day, Eragon visits Runan, who tells him of the ore she's used to forge every rider's blade, so it's got to be this bright steel under the Manoa tree. And when they finally make it to the tree, Eragon and Saphira take a very chaotic good cop, bad dragon approach to getting what they need, but it somehow works when the ancient, vengeful tree/god agrees to give them the ore in exchange for anything she wants from Eragon, in exchange for just a blank check.
Yeah.
Of course, this guy immediately gets on board with this.
Come on, Eragon.
And we got to do some fun speculating on what the fuck she might have taken. So with that, Eragon and Runan collaborate to break her oath and forge the first new rider sword in a century. Runan invades his brain to use his body as a conduit, while Saphira brings the heat. And the process has it all: magical singing, precision craftsmanship, and the guidance of blacksmith mommy's skilled hands. All of which leave Eragon physically and mentally exhausted, but after some much-needed rest, Eragon returns to Runan's forge to witness her proud presentation of the baddest ass sword, literally, in history. When he's faced with contemplating the sword's name, he comes up with the word for his first spell, his connection to magic, Brisingr. And as he says it aloud, the sword bursts into flames. And I too love to find a secret amenity in a new car. You're like, oh damn, this has wireless charging?
Wow.
Who could have known that? None of my cars though have ever burst into spontaneous flame, but that's probably for the best, I think.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. We ended last episode with a classic smash cut over to Roran preparing for battle to start the siege of Feinster. Katrina dresses her boy all up for the wall, and Roran heads out to join his men as they charge towards the walls. Cue and it has begun because we're off to war again. Dane, are you ready to wrap this bad boy up?
I am so ready. We're heading straight to the chapter summaries.
Hell
I
yeah.
want to talk about this whole
Hell
season.
yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, chapter 54, leave taking. We open this episode with Eragon and Saphira. They're leaving Runan Elda's place, and also because we're finally leaving the sword story.
Yes.
Even here in this episode, there is like
Still just
vapors
gasp
of it.
of sword. Hint of
Yeah.
hint of sword. LaCroix. Sword flavored LaCroix.
Yes, exactly. They need to be getting their asses to this whole wall
Yes.
and where it's happening. They do head to Sloane's for a quick visit, though,
good.
because I guess Eragon is his parole officer. And Saphira is like, do we need to see this guy?
I'm kind of with her here. I feel like he is the king of pit stops on this visit to Ellesmere. I'm like, dude.
She's like, it doesn't seem like you're like hurrying. He's really taking the Oramus approach.
Yes, the urgency is non-existent.
Exactly. But Sloane's house sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Grown out of a fir tree and sitting in all it's this beautiful nature.
Yeah.
Come on. Why are you so grumpy, old man? Anyway, he's sitting down, cross-legged, out in the middle of the forest when they come up to him. So
Casual.
he's for sure already meditating and doing yoga a bit.
You think he's on the beginner stump time track?
Oh, for sure. He has like a meditation track. He has an elf come and like walk him through
Yeah.
stuff. Eragon approaches and Sloane hears him and starts yelling at him.
Right.
So Eragon talks to him and tries to disguise his voice.
Yeah.
It isn't worth going over this discussion, but Sloane isn't nice. And Eragon,
That's our guy.
yeah, and Eragon walks away from a distraught, angry man who is sad about losing his family, and his life seems full of anger and pain. Anyway, as they leave, Saphira tells Eragon that he can't expect Sloane to change so fast. For the haters that said this was horrible and Eragon is evil for what he did to Sloane in the beginning of this book, I
Yeah.
point to this chapter and what has become of this man.
Yes.
And I say, I think most prisoners, especially those who have committed murder,
Yeah.
would choose this sentence.
I agree. I also do like that nugget of signature Saphira wisdom here.
Yeah.
She's like channeling. She's like, I was Zen once with Niswada. I could be Zen again.
Exactly. She's like, am I a guru?
Yes. You are, girl. You're everything.
You're everything.
You
You're
know, Taylor.
Swift. Next, they head to Ormus and Glader, who are already sitting outside and waiting. And Jax, Glader's wearing a saddle. And Oramus is in traveling robes.
Hell yeah.
And golden armor. His sword's on his hip. It's happening.
Yes.
They're flying out of Dwelden Varden and was split from Eragon to join the battle in Gilead.
Yes.
They believe it's unlikely there will be another dragon rider born before the war is over, and Eragon and Saphira likely won't return before their confrontation with Galbatorix, so they decide they've hidden long enough.
Yes.
Yeah, they continue on saying their presence will scare Galbatorix, since he
Yeah.
won't know if there are any more secret ancient riders. And the resistance fighters who are worried right now about Murtagh and Thorn will feel better knowing there's another rider on their side.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hell
let's
yeah.
go. I'm so fucking pumped.
Yes.
And as a kid, I had a whole put the book down moment, and I was like, let's go. I moved around. I mean, both major
You're
armies.
running around your room.
Oh my
You're
God.
What is this, 2008? You're 19, just
Yeah.
sprinting around your room and whoa!
Yeah.
Ric Flair.
My sister's just like, shut up. She's like- so both major armies closing on Old Gal
Yeah.
have dragons now. Whoop, whoop.
I can't wait.
Yeah, Gal's so fucked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Aragon points out that Ormus probably shouldn't fight, since if he has a spasm, he could get hurt.
Okay.
Ormus is instantly a little offended. But oh wait,
Oh.
no he isn't, because he's a self-actualized king and loves Aragon. He has a ton of strength basically stored in the diamond on his sword, which has over 100 years
Crazy.
of Glader and his extra energy
Hell
after
yeah.
every day. It also contains energy which, get this, he gets from several elves
Yes.
coming to his place twice a week to add as much energy as they could without dying. The whole time he's been hiding.
Fucking crazy.
There is so much energy inside his sword that he could shift a mountain.
I loved reading this. I was like, oh, we're going to do it. We
Yeah.
fucking got it.
So great. Ormus is going to be okay.
Yes.
He also attached his wards to the gem on his blade.
Okay.
So if he does have a fit, he's helpless, he
Yes.
should be able to defend himself because of his wards. this guy is good to go.
Yes. I was just thinking the wards that are like attached to his blade, they feed off the energy in the gem, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
that's
can
cool.
move a mountain.
It's fucking crazy.
They're going to be fine. Yeah.
Love it.
Ormus, our dragon daddy, tells Aragon and Saphira that although their training is not as comprehensive as the normal riders of old,
Yeah.
he and Glader are proud of them.
Oh.
They believe they know everything they need to win against Galbatorix, and Ormus goes on to say that if they die and somehow Aragon and Saphira do not, which is kind of funny.
I know. I'm like, subtle dig, subtle dig.
It is Aragon and Saphira who must become the teachers to instruct any new rider.
Yeah.
This hits Aragon hard with fear and responsibility, which,
Me too, bud.
yeah, this is for sure going to be like drawing some doodles in the dirt to handle this if it comes to pass. He's just gonna
I guess I don't know if Mama Sindri would be welcome in the new like rider curriculum. I don't think the elves and all their like storied ancient order instruction would be down for that. We might have to find some different coping mechanisms
So
if this
funny.
scenario comes to pass.
Aragon's like Padawan is just like, I had to draw a lot in dirt.
It's really
It's
weird.
really
He's making me pray to
strange.
this god. I don't.
You're a Sindri?
Seems a little weird. I
It's
don't know.
strange. Anyway, Ormus is a big fan of Brisingr and thinks it's pretty awesome.
And here you thought the sword talk was done,
Oh man, it's
Dane.
never gonna end. the two of them fanboy out over
Yeah.
it for a minute, and then Ormus wonders something but doesn't explain it. And I couldn't guess what it was with
Okay.
such little context.
Yeah.
So I looked this up,
Hell
and I
yeah.
think it's safe to say here, as it doesn't affect the end of this book or the next book.
Okay.
So if you do not want to know what this is, then don't. But I promise you, it's not big.
Yeah.
In an interview, Paolini said that Ormus was thinking that maybe Aragon's essence is literally meshed with his sword.
Yeah. That is kind of cool. It is almost hinting at or it's like, I think along the same line of thought that Runan was getting at, where
Yeah.
she's like, I think because you were so involved in the forging of it, like,
You are one with it.
yeah, it kind of makes sense.
So Aragon is literally one with his blade.
yes.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I did like that. I do kind of like some of the sword does keep coming back up, but I think the way in this episode, it's like very fun. It seems very realistic for a teen boy who has like the sickest new toy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no time to worry about all the death and sadness and
Great.
swords as Ormus heads right on through to the Crazyville.
Oh my God.
Ormus says that to ensure Aragon and Saphira always have a chance at beating Galbatorix and to support them in case of his possible death, Glader has decided to give Aragon and Saphira his Heart of Hearts. A huge and very personal honor.
Yeah.
Aragon almost ruins this, as he often does,
Not our boy.
by bringing up the potential of Glader not wanting to exist without Ormus by his side. I mean, stop looking a gift dragon in the mouth, Aragon. Come on, Kevin.
That is so real. It's the same exact thing he did with Runan. He's like, I don't really think this breaks your oath. You're still definitely making the sword. And she's like, why don't you shut the fuck up and let me give you what you need?
It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Glader essentially responds to this by saying he and Ormus have had a millennia to think on their deaths, and they are as ready for it as they're ever going to get.
Yeah.
Even though it's still gonna suck if it were to happen. This is dope though. The dragon daddies are always only a phone call away
Yeah,
now.
magic cell phones.
Yeah. Also, some juicy goss.
Yes.
Ormus isn't happy with this.
Ugh.
Ormus basically makes it seem like if this is what needs to happen and Glader is down for it,
Spill the tea, girl.
great. But it sounds like privately he was against it.
Yeah.
He also freaks out when Saphira says they will guard Glader's Eldonari with their lives.
That's right.
And instantly jumps in to tell them, do not do that because that is not the point. The point is to keep you alive at all costs. And that's why
You guys
they're doing
are
this in the
really
first place.
missing the assignment here.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like Ormus is like, I mean, they were good students, but I wouldn't leave my soul with them.
Yes.
The next bit is foul. This majestic, most valuable, and powerful Heart of Hearts is basically given to Aragon after Glader amazingly vomits it up like a cat spitting up a hairball. It's fucking hilarious. I did not expect this.
No, as a person with a cat, the description definitely felt very close to home to me. I was like, oh, God.
It's so like Glader like gets his like arms ready and his neck distends. It's so funny. Anyway, as soon as Aragon takes it, he can immediately feel everything about Glader. This dragon seems not to like this intimacy and tries to hide right away. I feel this. You know when you open up to someone like too fast that you don't really know? Always risky.
Yes, you're like out for the night and you're like, I told that girl in the bathroom way too much about my life.
Yeah, like sometimes you think you're ready, and then as soon as you start, you're like, abort, do not share that.
No. That was crazy. Now she thinks you're crazy.
Yeah, that's what this reminds me of. Anyway, Glader's Elinari is described like a golden, shining glass spike ball, maybe.
Super cool.
That's my visual, but it sounds beautiful after the disgusting vomit scene, which is nice.
Really, really turns on a dime, this scene.
The vomit's all like stuck in like the ridges of the like rigid glass. Hilarious. Ormus then hands Aragon a sack and is like, put it in here. Yogi to the end, man. He's essentially the guy who doesn't want to waste like plastic. Yeah. So he uses like sour cream tub as like Tupperware. I love this.
He's like, I found this old sack somewhere and I don't want to waste this good burlap.
Yeah, I imagine him in like armor, but like still in Birkenstocks, heading Aragon a hemp sack to carry the most valuable object on Earth. It's hilarious.
Dude, on brand as ever.
He just is Ormus to the end. It's great. Goddard also tells Aragon and Saphira that they might inform Nasawada, Arya, and the dangerous Elven Rebellion. 12. That's the new name I'm going for?
Oh.
We're workshopping it. We're workshopping.
We got it. We have the rest of this episode. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, about the Eldenari, but only if it's absolutely necessary.
Okay.
And if they swear in the ancient language. After all this is settled, the chapter ends as they head to war. The two dragons roaring out their fury. It's fucking rad. Let's go.
Let's go. So that takes us to chapter 55, Flight. We open this chapter with the dragons and daddies and Aragon flying towards their respective battlefields. They reach the edge of Duweldenbarden and part ways with well wishes and blessings for successful battles and hopes to meet again at the gates of Urobane to take down Gal. So cool. Dane, I really hate to be a negative Nancy here, but I feel like after how nice everything's been in the last chapter, in the beginning of this one, there's no way everyone's getting out of this alive. It has the vibes to me like, you know, that episode of Game of Thrones when like Brienne and Jaime are having such a nice time right before the battle, and that ended well.
You know what you say is you're absolutely right. Galbatorix is gonna die. You see what I'm saying?
One can only hope.
Don't you talk about people dying.
In this book, Gal, I don't know. All my hero's journey intel kind of flies in the face of that, but let's
ruin this for me.
I won't. I've got your back, bud.
All right.
So Aragon and Saphira continue flying for 2 straight days and nights, with Aragon's anxiety about the upcoming siege like building as they're flying every single minute. He's like, oh fuck, this is gonna be tough. I think it's another one of those like he knows what he's getting himself into at this point, and he is stressed.
I had to say, if I was heading to a siege, I would also be anxious.
I think so, yeah. But I think like having a bird's eye view while they fly of these like lines of pillaging soldiers crisscrossing the countryside isn't like necessarily helping with all of this mounting anxiety.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
No, but when Saphira tries to soothe Aragon, they both agree it's probably for the best that he isn't as bloodthirsty as she is, because like life's about balance, man. And on the 3rd evening after leaving Elismira, Aragon starts getting his ass in gear in the saddle. Like I like he's gearing up, putting on his armor while he's sitting in the car. I'm like, I too have had to change in the car several times. As like the fires of Feinster come into sight, he takes a sip of his magical elf booze to bolster his confidence, and he notices this really jumped out to me, which is funny. He notices like the container of it is getting pretty light. It's almost empty, and I'm like, do you think his PTSD has given him a drinking problem?
Oh, no. This is a prescription from his yogi doctor. I am sure it's fine.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's a prescription.
I only take drugs when they're prescribed by my doctor, and none of those are ever unhealthy.
Where is it?
Yes. I definitely got that vibe here. But either way, it's not time to ponder that, because Aragon is getting his first overview of the state of the siege, and it's looking pretty chaotic all around. So Aragon and Saphira decide to make the entrance of all entrances with a deafening roar and a spray of fire like into the night sky. It's like pitch black, and you just see her light that shit up. It's so cool. Badass. But after a moment of stunned silence, the Varden's like, what the fuck is happening?
Like, is it Murtagh?
Yes, I know. I'm like, really bold choice, you guys. Yeah. So after a moment of like just absolutely stunned silence, the Varden soldiers erupt in cheers, and Aragon realizes he's now night blind from the flames. Brisingr, indeed.
Every step forward, 2 steps back.
I know. He's like, oh shit, I can't see. That was fun, but Let's head on in.
Did it look cool?
And Severa's like, I don't know.
He's like, worth it.
Yeah. So the chapter ends just as Triana radios up to Eragon to tell him he needs to get on a rescue mission to free Arya and another elf from a tight spot. Stat! Ah! Where are we going?
Chapter 56, Brisingr. We pick up right in the thick of it.
Yes.
Saphira is spinning as she dives down, arrows pinking off of Eragon's magic wards.
Yes.
And finally, Eragon is in the action.
Yes.
They land in front of the curtain wall,
Okay.
which, if you aren't a castle nerd, is the defensive wall between two towers.
Yes. That makes sense. Like a curtain.
Like a curtain.
Amazing.
And Saphira starts killing soldiers until they all flee.
Okay.
Arya and the Sex Panther are there,
yes.
sweaty and covered in blood with their
Great.
enemies. They are inside the walls trying to open the gates.
Okay.
They snuck in and were ambushed by a trio of magicians while soldiers charged them.
Okay.
They need these magically warded gates open like yesterday.
Yes.
It's been a few days.
Yes.
Eragon walks around the dead soldiers and sucks up this energy one by one while Bloodgarm explains the rest of what's going on, and
Yes.
the enemies fled as soon as they landed.
I did really like reading his pragmatism doing that. He, again, doesn't like it. We always get the description of like, this is gross, but he's like, things are happening, and I need to make sure I'm at
100%.
peak form. Yeah.
So Bloodgarm explains that the rest of the enemies fled as soon as they landed because
Yes.
Eragon and Saphira are nightmare creatures.
Yeah, that.
It's all very fun start to this chapter. Eragon is stoked to grab a shield and like get to the gate.
Yeah.
Why does he not have that unbreakable one from the Manoa tree rave? Do you remember that book like 2?
No, I did not remember that.
He needs his own shield, and that one would be dope.
That does make sense. That would be really cool. Do you think Islanzadi maybe took it, like one of the elves has it, since they marched to war before he got back?
That makes sure there's probably some random elf.
Just absolute no name.
Oddly named Norfervel.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Perfect name.
Yeah.
No notes.
They do stop for a second to talk about his new sword because this was written by a man who loves a good sword.
Yes.
And I'm not making this up, by the way. This is coming up this often, guys. I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
He's just like, look at what I got.
Yeah, they're like,
This
"Oh."
feels so realistic to me. I kind of love it.
I love the whole vibe of this chapter. It's
Yeah.
very like Marvel movie-esque.
Yeah.
They fight some guards and slay, obviously, making their way towards the castle gates, and the 4 of them cannot be stopped.
I know.
They're about to close a distance to the front gate when 50 soldiers jump out of the towers and steal Gandalf's line. You shall not pass. Calling them all monsters. Eragon takes that personally. And he decides he's going to handle this himself.
Okay.
He tells the 2 elves to go find a way into the towers to open the gate and tells Saphira, calm down.
Hey,
I
girl."
got this. Eragon Shadeslayer, Bane of the Razak, and Brahm's son has got this.
Yeah.
He literally walks up alone, introduces himself, and has a chat with the enemy soldiers. He's like asking them to like give up. He's like, I don't want to kill you guys. They decide not to.
Great.
Yeah, because
Makes
they
sense.
yeah, but they actually because it's not because of Galbatorix.
Okay.
It's because of the devotion to the Lady Lorena of Feinster
Oh.
and their hatred for the Varden and its monsters. And I mean,
Yeah.
between the Sex Panther, the dragon, the hordes of dwarves and Urgles, there are monsters outside. Fair.
And, the decades of propaganda probably
That's
doesn't
true.
help.
It's not helping. One soldier goes on for a bit, and then
Yeah.
he curses Eragon. And it is of note that this man is the second person to curse Eragon to leave Alagasia in this book.
Yeah.
It freaks Eragon out.
Really, really mounting here.
Yeah. Freaks Eragon out, but while the soldiers have been distracted, the 2 elves get into the towers unseen, and they open the gates.
Amazing.
The talk ends when the man charges Eragon,
Great.
who kills him in one stab as the city gates are opening.
Yeah.
It's very cinematic. Then Eragon and Saphira are attacked by the rest of the soldiers who didn't flee. And I had to say, Eragon is fucking metal
Yes.
here. He's fighting and killing them so fast that the blood is becoming mist in the air.
That's right.
Isn't that like vaporization?
Yeah, I think it would be.
Okay, so I looked this up, and I think his sword must be going 180 miles per hour.
Of course, you looked this up.
Yeah,
You're
so-
like, well, now how fast exactly?
How would you vaporize blood?
Yeah.
So it's double the speed of the fastest tennis pro swinging his racket.
Oh, shit.
I think insane.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's how this works, but that's all I got.
I think that tracks for me.
Yeah.
I could.
Horse facts. Right? That's what I say. Blade facts. I don't know.
I don't know. I had no idea horses played tennis. I feel very confused. Mixed metaphors.
So they get the gates open, and the Varden celebrate Aragon and Saphira as they enter the city. We get glimpses of Roran, and he and Aragon embrace like only brother cousins can.
Yeah.
Aragon notices that Roran looks old and haunted, which is pretty sad.
Becoming more like Garrow with every tick of the clock, Dane.
I wonder if eating all that dirt before battle is getting him sick.
That's right, just handful and little lick. See, just assess its fitness for harvesting, and you're like, my guy, you're busy.
Stop eating dirt. But we can worry about the strong hammer and his bean buster another time.
Not that, never that. Please, spare me.
They chat it up and talk about Aragon's new sword again, while the elf brigade joins them.
Yeah.
Aragon sees Jormander and is like, what do I do? And it's so funny because Jormander's like, whatever you want to do. He's like, you're a god to me.
Yeah.
And you ride a fucking dragon, dog. I don't know. Maybe capture the lady or the keep. But stop gossiping with your brother cousin. We got work to do.
Yes. Jormander strikes again. We haven't seen him in so long.
No.
And I was like, oh my God, he's hilarious here. He's like, Aragon. What?
What am I supposed to tell you? He can't go like right away though, because Aragon has to tell Roran and Arya that Braum is his dad.
Of course, important.
Yeah, even at this point, Saphira is like, guys, come on, there's no time. Like I said, the vibes are like very nice, very light. It's very fun.
Very fun, very chill war vibes. I love it.
Yeah, so Aragon, Saphira, Arya, and Bloodgarm, and the 12 magic marvels.
Ooh.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Head into the chaotic battle. Aragon keeps trying to get soldiers to surrender and just murder rates them if they don't,
Yes.
while also keeping tabs on those 3 magicians from earlier. Not really doing anything, but also not running away. They're just always one step ahead of them.
Creepy.
Creepy
vibes.
It's creepy. We get lots of action scenes, one inside a blacked out shop, like where he fights a few soldiers in the dark, and they're like, this would be so cool on TV.
Yeah.
Just him hunting soldiers in
Hell
an
yeah.
urban environment. He also almost kills a thin boy in an alley, saved only by his wards. Like the kid actually stabs him and hits
shit.
a ward. But he takes the kid's dagger and tells him to stay inside. What a sociopath he is.
What an asshole.
Yeah, it's chaos in this battle. Aragon gets pissed seeing the Varden soldiers at one point, sacking a mansion, and puts it out if that any of the Varden troops start thieving and looting. Aragon will personally have them strung up.
Wild.
Not how war works, but again, I am struck by how evil Aragon is.
Yes, he just like does not have a moral compass, this guy.
Very weird. He ends up following the calls of some soldiers who find enemy troops in a building, and there's this moment with him and Saphira, very buddy cop vibes, where Aragon's like, you want to handle this or you want me to handle this? And obviously, given the choice, Saphira jumps at the chance for the murder.
That's our girl.
She hops up, rips off the top of the building, and as Paolini puts it, quote, killed like a terrier kills
Jesus
rats.
Christ.
Even the Varden soldiers are shocked afterwards.
Yeah.
This whole chapter is like this with these two.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yes.
I love it. Aragon and Saphira keep at this.
Yes.
My favorite is when Aragon tells her he's glad he isn't her enemy, and she calls him sweet.
High praise for her.
She's like, thank you for saying that. It's clear Christopher Paolini was having fun with this chapter. Eventually, Aragon goes to the keep to help the Varden with yet another gate.
Gates on gates.
It's tons of gates. And Saphira heads to destroy some enemy catapults.
Okay.
Obviously, Bloodgarm is there waiting for him, but he isn't helping the soldiers open the gate. He's just literally watching. Aragon gets super
Sex
pissed
Panther,
at
get
the
it
Sex
together.
Panther. Yeah, super pissed at the Sex Panther and the Elven elites for not helping the battle at large and make sure they understand that they need to help the Varden, not just him and Saphira.
Hey guys, I don't know if you noticed.
We're in a war.
A bit of a war.
Yeah. He then runs to the gate and uses his magic sword and all of its anti-magic properties to slice through the wards of the gate and the doors of the keep.
Yeah.
It's super cheesy, but super cool. Aragon gets in the Varden in the keep. It's pretty cool. Angela's there. This chapter ends with us getting a moment with Angela.
Great.
So she can, like, of course, neg Aragon a bit. I
That's
rolled
her.
my eyes. I'm not a big fan, but the those of you who love her, this does happen there. I just wanted to.
Yes, she's here just to show us that she's better than everybody else. And doesn't she shit on his sword?
She shits on how dramatic he's being.
Oh.
She's like, oh, this is a little dramatic, right?
A bit much just to like open a door, dude.
It's like, I don't know. It's a little mysterious and dramatic for you to just show up to make fun of me every now and then.
Solid point.
Yeah.
That does take us to chapter 57, Shadow of Doom. This chapter does not miss a beat. We pick back up with Bloodgarm and the spellcasters coming to join Eragon and Saphira, and Eragon cannot be bothered to even speak to them because of fucking course he's just looking for Arya. He's like, where's my girl? Where's my girl? When she runs over, Eragon invites her out on a fun little date to cruise over the top of the city to invade the keep from above and capture Lady Lorana.
As they do.
Yeah. Arya agrees, and they head out with Arya's admonishment that Eragon really needs to learn to involve his guards in these harebrained schemes. She's like, we really should not have left them behind. That was kind of dumb.
We keep leaving them.
Yeah, I don't love it. But on the way, he's interrupted by a surge in consciousness from Glader. I really liked reading these. His mind is transported to Gilead, and it looks like things are going reasonably well on the ground for Islanzadi and the elves, although it's hard to tell in this quick flash. And then Glader glimpses Thorn and Murtagh swooping in to challenge them and laments over the necessity of killing more riders and dragons. He's like, it's going to suck to murder these guys.
Yeah.
And as Eragon and Saphira both snap out of this vision, Eragon tells Arya about the impending clash over Gilead and says he'll explain how he knows this later. Naturally, they got time for that later. So Saphira lands SEAL Team star-crossed lovers on the roof of the keep, and Eragon and Arya sneak in while Saphira looks for a way in herself. They sense some confusing minds and energies below, and Arya, once again the voice of reason here, wishes they'd been able to bring Bloodgarm. Would have helped.
He's like, we could always use an extra sex panther.
Yes, I mean, who can't? But no regrets in battle, Dane, as they hurry into the chamber below, finding Lady Lorana kind of just chilling, and those creepy ass spellcasters in the center of the room chanting in a circle around a fourth guy who looks like he's in pain. And I do not have a good feeling about this. But throwing caution to the wind, Eragon and Arya approach Lady Lorana. When she beckons them over, she's like, hey, come here.
She's like, psst, you.
And they kind of look at each other and they're like, okay, what's up, girl?
They're like, hey.
Hey. And inexplicably, they do have a pretty nice chat. This just like kind of works out. The Lady of Feinster actually asks them to dispatch the sorcerers soon because they only answer to sweet old gal, and they're trying currently to make a shade.
Oh, the black hand strikes again.
Uh-oh. And just then, Saphira lands on the balcony and starts forcing her way in, ripping open walls.
There wasn't any like dragon-sized doors she could get through?
No, so weird. I can't imagine why not. I guess Feinster's not really doing well financially. So Eragon takes this as a pretty good cue to get to work murdering these magicians. But wait, before they can charge, another vision from Glader overwhelms Eragon and Saphira. He's in the middle of a pitched battle in the sky with Thorn, who's growing increasingly stronger still at this point, just ratcheting up and up.
Wild.
Yes, they each land devastating blows, and just as Oramus and Glader are thinking that they'll be able to exhaust Murtagh and Thorn pretty soon here, Eragon and Saphira come to. So quick little flash, but we're like, okay, they're gonna tire out the little younglings soon. Just tucker them out before bedtime.
Is it bad? I'm worried for both sets of rider and
yes,
dragon.
I'm like, I do not know how to feel in this situation. Yeah. Arya's worried over Eragon because he's apparently collapsed, and things are looking dicier and dicier over in the Sorcerer's Circle. So Eragon, Arya, and Saphira all advance upon these creeps, and they all concentrate on just one sorcerer at a time, hoping to wear down his wards under like a constant barrage of blows. And call your D&D groups. This is a good strategy. We should do this.
Yes, one enemy at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after 1 minute, Eragon's sword cuts through and decapitates the guy. So they repeat the process. They're like, great, best practices, take it to the next one. And Saphira gets the kill this time. And just as they're about to dispatch the third sorcerer, a bunch of spirits fly violently into the room and possess the man on the floor. And we are so fucked, Dane. We are so fucked.
They're screwed.
Yes. Just as Eragon is trying to finally call Bloodgarm for reinforcements, he's like,
whoopsie.
Uh-oh, bud, could you come up and help a little bit? Another vision from Glader incapacitates him and Saphira. Glader is having a brief respite from the battle when Thorn attacks him from behind. And when Glader manages to pin the younger dragon, the riders on top exchange blows, with Murtagh screaming at Oramus. This was so sad to read. He's like, what the fuck, dude? Why didn't you help us when Gal had us prisoner? Why didn't you come out then? You could have saved us.
Yes.
And mid-rant, I think somebody is getting a vibe that Murtagh's getting a little too amped. Murtagh gets cut off and begins speaking in the voice of Galbatorix.
This is creepy.
Yes.
This is very creepy.
It was wild. Gal first tries to use his like silver tongue to convince Oramus to give up their fight against him. He says that Oramus is maybe the wisest rider in history and tries to make the case that he's not angry or vengeful anymore. He just wants to be a good murder wizard emperor.
I mean, it sounds like he's changed.
I know. I'm like, okay, I can see your points. You're just trying to like have a nice and cohesive empire. You don't want all this war.
At least hear about it. Let him wine him and dine you. You know what I mean?
It does sound like he's good at that. He threw Murtagh a pretty sweet birthday party. That one time.
That's pretty hilarious.
Never forget.
Well, I mean, Murtagh got a dragon out of the whole thing.
That's true. But Glader sees right through this bullshit and bites down on Thorn. They're like locked together and he's like, no, chomp harder. While Oramus is yelling his defiance at Gal, and Gal gives this doozy of a speech. I'm going to quote it. I'm a little scared to do a Gal voice, so I might not. He says, "Your philosophy does not constrain me, elf. I am the greatest of magicians, and soon I will be even greater still. Death will not take me. You, however, shall die. But first, you will suffer. You will both suffer beyond imagining, and then I will kill you, Oramus, and I shall take your heart of hearts, Glader, and you will serve me until the end of time."
Yikes.
And I might be missing something, but what happened to the well, maybe I was wildin' before, but I'm like such a zen murder wizard emperor now guy we just saw. Like,
I mean,
that was quick.
I can't believe this guy lied. Where did that come? How could we have seen this coming from?
Hard pivot from Galbatorix. He's out here just like giving us whiplash on top of all this other shit.
This is very surprising for everything we know about him.
I am shocked, Cotton. But Glader feels the ensuing sword fight happening above him, but he's powerless to do anything when he senses Oramus starting to have another seizure and sees the warded sword fall from the sky.
Not great considering all of its power.
Big problem.
Yeah.
And being in Glader's mind as Oramus is dealt his death blow is so tragic. Yeah. He's so upset. He has this like arcane burst of the special sauce dragon magic to break Gal's immobilizing spell because Glader was like pinned in place in Thorn.
Galbatorix was holding both of them in the sky.
Yes. And Glader has this surge of magic, breaks Gal's spell, and is starting to like dive for the ground to get Oramus to the elven healers down there, but he does not make it, and Oramus dies on his back.
Oh my God.
And as much as it pains me to say, Dane, that's another dad gone too soon. Pour one out for Dragon Daddy.
Eragon is a danger.
Certifiable.
To these father figures.
Yes, it is.
If you are starting to father, if you're mentoring Eragon
Don't
in
do
any
it.
way,
Turn.
Stop.
Run.
Your life is in danger.
I'm glad that we held back on Auric. I'm glad that we did not let him become a clan daddy.
I'm glad we pivoted from clan daddy.
Me too. So Glader, with wild vengeance, charges down Thorn. He manages to bite off the end of Thorn's tail, but ultimately the younger dragon's speed prevails and he kills Glader by snapping his neck. And props to Christopher Paolini because the writing as Glader realizes he's dead, because remember, Saphira and Eragon are hearing all of this through the Eldenari.
Yeah.
So Glader has to have the realization that he's inside the Eldenari, and it is fucking devastating. He's crazed. He's howling into the void. It is so sad.
This seems horrible to me. Even if I had an Eldenari, I would not want to go into one. Yucky. It's ugh.
Yeah, I think knowing what I know, I could definitely see the temptation, and like I think I get the read that because Oramus and Glader have lived so long, they know so much. I get the read that like Glader took this on knowing what it might cost him and like having a full knowledge of how terrible it would be, and he took that on to do anything he could to bring down Galbatorix. And I'm like, what a fucking baller. What a boss.
It makes it more badass for sure.
Yes.
You're like, oh, this is horrible.
So as Eragon and Saphira are freed finally from this horrific vision, they come to, they're still in this room and it's chaos. It's not getting better for them right now. The man from the center of the circle, now a shade, is strangling Arya.
Oh no.
And this guy seems much stronger than Dursa. So I'm like, oh great. And he immobilizes Eragon and Saphira pretty quickly under like a debilitating mental assault. But Eragon, thank God, bucks right the fuck up, deciding that if this guy, he's named himself Varag, if he's too strong to mind control, Eragon will just envelop the Shade's mind so it can't fuck with Arya or Saphira.
I like this strategy, actually. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yes, I thought it was pretty good, but it doesn't have a ton of longevity, unfortunately. So it's lucky that just as the shade forces his way back into Eragon's mind, Arya is able to free herself and get to her sword. And all our girl needs is a moment of Eragon holding back the shade's mind to stab this motherfucker through the heart. The spirits in the shade burst from its skin just like Durza, and it's finally over.
Yeah, I feel like Eragon took the wrong lesson from his fight with Durza. You do not want mind mingling happening with the evil spirits.
No,
though.
again, I'm kind of just noticing this keeps coming up again and again.
Yeah.
It's something like he knows he's done before, and he's like, I'm going to have to do it again. There's no other option. I know how bad it's going to be, and I'm going to fucking do it because I can't imagine any other way we're going to get out of this. I'm just going to entrap him, hold him hostage,
By
and
letting him in.
Yes, a little bit, and see if Arya and Saphira can't figure out something to get out of this while I take care of mind prison.
Wild.
So as Eragon and Arya patch the worst of their wounds and have an eye-rolling conversation about being stronger together, Saphira starts losing her shit. She's the only one who's like, do you all know what just happened?
Yeah.
She's wailing. She's destroying everything around her in her rage over Glader and Oramus. Eragon tells Arya that Gal has killed his mentors, and the chapter ends as they all start mourning the cripple who is whole and resolve to go tell Niswada what's happened.
Which takes us to chapter 58, the last chapter, Sunrise. Well, shit. We've won, but at what cost?
A really, really, really big one.
Yeah.
High price to pay.
We come back to this chapter as Eragon and Saphira run into the Dream Team Elf Guard, who are freaking out.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. They thought Arya or Eragon had died
Oh.
because Saphira is beside herself.
That's right.
But now they all have the battle at Gilead to freak out about when Eragon tells them the news.
Yes.
It really takes the wind out of what is otherwise a good day.
Yeah.
Dead daddies will do that, I guess. Eragon apologizes to Bloodgarm for leaving him behind. And our Sex Panther tells him it's cool and apologizes for not fighting along with the Varden.
Yeah.
And promises to do so in the future.
That's nice.
Yeah. From there, Eragon meets up with Jormungandr to drop off the Lady of Feinster. And she seems cool.
She does, yeah.
To be honest, she cares greatly for her people.
Yeah.
She thanks Arya and Eragon for killing the Shade.
Yes.
Overall, I'm like, I don't know.
I got pretty good vibes from her. I'm like, do you think there's a way we can incorporate her? Like, can Niswada put her up with the VIPs somewhere?
You know what? She can join our council.
Hell yeah. We'll have you, Lady Lorana. We like you.
You seem cool.
Yeah.
The kill squad. Okay, should we be calling Eragon and his kill crew the kill squad? Because they can wreck just hundreds of soldiers, no problem. It's insane.
Definitely among the options.
We'll workshop it.
Okay.
We'll workshop it. Anyway, the kill squad gets to Niswada, who is looking majestic as fuck
Hell
on her
yeah.
stallion among the people.
Hell yeah. Serious Beyonce vibes for me here. Like, this is Renaissance Queen president. It's giving album cover. It's giving world tour. Love it.
They meet up and she immediately notices the sword, which is hilarious.
I'm telling you, Dane, I think maybe it's just on frequency alone, just a classic commitment to the bit from Christopher Paolini. Every single time it came up in this battle, I laughed.
It's
Gave me
pretty
a chuckle.
funny. I mean, this
liked
sword
it.
is brought up 5 times more than Roran in this section. But Eragon,
Not that anyone counted.
but Eragon for once isn't moved by the sword love, and he asks her to talk alone.
That's right. It's sad.
It's
We're
sad. We're sad.
I forgot.
We're sad. Eragon explained who Oramus and Glader were and what happened to them.
Yeah.
It's very sad, and he's clearly in pain doing
Yeah.
it. Nasawada is not that surprised
Okay.
because she was able to guess they were writers from kind of some of the stuff that Eragon had told her.
That makes sense.
But the death is a huge blow to everyone
Yes.
because these two were ancient. Nasawada is struck dumb.
Yeah.
She starts crying even. And it seems like hope for the Varden might be lost despite the newest victory.
Yes.
He gives her the full lowdown, and she's really nice and sensitive to Eragon's grief here.
Aw.
I love her.
Yes, she's the best. I do like that she really does seem to be taking this in stride. I mean, her take on it is so bleak. She's
Yes.
like, we might not have a shot anymore, but I think I'm impressed by how much and how quickly she grasps the gravity of what's just happened.
It's nice for Eragon, too, I think. It
Yeah.
seems like this is the start of some healthy mourning for Eragon.
That's true.
Saphira cries during this. It's all just very sad here.
Yeah.
Arya and Nasawada then want to know about the Heart of Hearts.
Great.
So, buckle up, everybody.
Switch gears a little bit.
Yeah, Eragon tells them about his last visit to the elves.
Okay.
I find it really interesting that he doesn't make Nasawada or Arya swear the ancient language.
Oh, that's right.
I know he is technically her liege, but he is also Auric's subject, and he
Yes.
is a writer, equal among kings and rulers.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would have tried to protect the secret a bit more. But alas, here we are.
Just like honor Glader's wishes, if nothing else. Even if you don't see it as a super pragmatic choice, it just seems
I don't know.
does seem a little fucked up.
It seems a little weird, especially with the whole Gabatorix thing. Anyway, but we're
Yeah.
not talking about it right now. We're moving on. Nasawada is shocked by this whole revelation and instantly understands what this means for Gabatorix and why he's so powerful.
Yeah.
Because she's quick and she's smart and she's wonderful. Arya seems to be reeling from the Eldenari information and how the ancient dragons like that gal have been imprisoned.
Yes, she does not like this.
She instantly wants to tell her entire race.
She's like, the people need to know.
Yeah, but Seer...
She's a whistleblower.
Yeah. Definitely. It would definitely be Arya.
A real Edward Snowden type.
Oh no. But Saphira jumps in to quash this whole thing before it even progresses. She's like, nope, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Naswat and Arya then seem a bit angry about not knowing this secret, even going so far to being upset with Queen Islanzadi for not filling them in.
Yes.
And I have to say,
Way to place your anger in the right spot, though. I am proud of them for that.
yeah, they're not angry at Aragon,
Yes.
which is probably the first time that's ever happened
Yes,
in
that's
such
correct.
a linear
They're like,
way.
not your fault, bud.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know.
I have to say, though, I am worried Aragon has already made a mistake telling these two. They are acting, I don't know, the vibes are off.
Yeah, they're whiling a little bit.
Yeah, ultimately, Nasawada tells Aragon that this information is actually really good, as they finally know a way to stop old gal.
Yes.
So she tells him to start thinking about it. It's funny, but
Yeah, why don't you start thinking about how to do that?
Yeah,
And
she's
he's
like-
like, cool.
she's like, we have a problem, start brainstorming how to fix
Yeah.
it. Despite all the tragedy, there is hope for the
Yes,
first time.
that's true.
So
She just wants to, blue sky a little bit. Just toss some ideas around.
yeah, from despair, from like awesome we won to despair to now hope again.
Yes,
You
they
know?
need a whiteboard to write down all their brainstorming
That's-
ideas. Where's the conference room?
Right. At some point, Aragon just throws into the mix that Brahm was his dad
Yes.
because he cannot help
No,
himself.
it's bursting forth from him.
Yeah, Arya mentions that she was always bothered by the fact that the egg went to Aragon rather than Brahm, but this makes a lot of sense. And does it though? I have thoughts. I do not think this answers any questions.
I don't know. This seems to be more evidence that maybe this is their magic Maury Povich DNA test. Teleportation.
Exactly. Anyway, she tells him he should be proud to be Brahm's son since he was a great man who founded the Varden.
Yes.
And Aragon even looks like the old coot.
Oh.
Best outcome for Aragon, really, because we know who he would look like otherwise, and that'd be Garrow. So good for you, buddy.
Oh, that's funny.
Arya and Nasawada then want to see Glader's Heart of Hearts, which is wild to me. This guy
Yes.
just lost a part of his soul that he was bonded with for a millennium,
Yes.
but they think he's down to meet some like new people real quick.
Yeah, they are having a lot of trouble reading the room here.
So weird. Nasawada also asked to speak with him, which is
Glader,
a little, yeah,
right? Fucking
which is
crazy.
a little tone. It's a little tone deaf.
Yeah.
And Aragon basically is like, maybe give him some time. He have his soul died. He does like explain this. Queen President is cool about it and holds off, but of course, Arya just walks up and touches the Eldenari. So there's that. He for sure made a mistake telling these two. Then Arya gives a speech about how important it is to keep the Eldenari safe. And thanks, Arya. We did not know that. Ugh, just such eye roll. I have such a love-hate with her, but this is the stuff I hate. She's not wrong. Not at
Yeah.
all. There's nothing wrong here.
Yes.
But Aragon is literally the only person who knows better than her. She didn't even know the Eldenari existed 5 minutes ago. And he has the Eldenari with him, which means the ancient writers trusted him before they trusted. Anyway.
It's a
she's,
lot. It does read to me as like, when you find, I feel like I do this all the time, much
Yeah.
to your like in very much real life eye rolls.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just heard this brand new information. Let me present it to you. And you're like, girl, I've been on, it's usually like internet stuff. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, girl, I'm on Reddit.
Yeah.
That was years ago. And I'm always like, yes, I can see now where I was maybe a little overexcited.
Yeah, I guess maybe this could be the princess thing too. Like
Yeah.
she's like, we must do this. And it's like, yeah, we know. We all know.
She's primed to make a big speech, our girl.
It's wild. The book ends in kind of a sad spot. After leaving these two powerful ladies, Aragon, hurt from the battle
Yeah.
and his grief, walks away. As he and Saphira head towards the Wall of Feinster, they reflect that they're the last of their kind.
Yeah.
That they are alone in the world. It's so intense. It sounds to me like they're kind of having a panic attack a little bit, to be honest.
Yes, the way it's written.
Yeah, which I guess is a little fair.
Mm-hmm.
Once at the top of the wall, they look out at the sunrise and they let the sun warm them.
Mm.
Up there in this very dramatic emo pose, Aragon tries to process his grief and loss and begins to think about his foster brother, Auric,
Mm-hmm.
his brave leader, Nasawada, the awkward chick he hangs out with, Arya, and finally, the broken dragon in his pocket later. And this works and gets him feeling way better. But while I was reading it, I was like, well, what about like Roran, your actual brother cousin? Or even like, I don't know, the people of Carvajal.
Horst.
Jode.
Baldor.
Baldor, for sure. I guess he has no time for them. So as his spirit slowly starts shifting, he turns to what's the most important thing of all. That he and Saphira must kill Galbatorix.
Yes.
They have to.
Yes.
And then despite the need for secrecy to keep the Eldenari safe, despite everything we just talked about in his last conversation with Ormus, and despite the fact that there are thousands of soldiers and presumably even enemy soldiers around, Aragon holds Glader's super secret Heart of Hearts above his head in front of the entire army. So Ormus feeling we're right all along. Like Glader should have just died. This was a bold move to trust this bean farmer.
Take. I mean, not entirely wrong. His full like Lion King moment of justice is kind of a lot.
But we got Feinster, and we barely knew her.
We hardly knew ye.
The dwarves are officially on our side, as are the elves. We probably don't have to hear about Aragon needing a sword for a while. And for the first time, we know the true source of Galbatorix's power. Things are looking up. There is hope. It's faint, but it is hope.
That's true. I'm feeling like with that kind of end to this book's chapter summaries, I would like to hang on to that hopefulness a little bit because otherwise I'm not feeling super optimistic about where we are at the end of this book, but I'm going to try Yes. I'm going to try to shake that off a little bit because the final analysis of this season is oddly kind of hopeful. So I think you're right.
All right, let's do it.
It's time for analysis.
So far this season, we've talked about a few different themes in Brisingr. There have been quite a few, actually. 9 if you're counting, you little weirdo. And RIP, episode 7 with no theme. But we've covered topics from reunions to reconciliation, isolation to the value of life. And of course, who could forget? Dad stuff. We really made a meal out of the hero's journey this season. I'm including you in this royal we, Dane.
Yes, we've really been pushing Joseph Campbell.
That's us. Big Campbell stands. We connected so many of these ideas back to the series-wide theme of coming of age. So in the spirit of all that's come before and the grand tradition of coming of age, I feel like this book on a whole is really exploring the theme of righting the wrongs of the past to move on and do better. It just feels like that piece of this puzzle to me.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a huge part of Aragon's arc, and I really look at his plot in this book through the lens of him picking up threads from the last 2 books, really, to set things right before moving on to the final confrontation in the final book of the series. From killing the Razak to punishing Sloane to reversing Elva's curse to learning about his dad's real identity, he's really the focus of the righting wrongs portion, I think, of this theme here. It's like Aragon is just going on, not really an apology tour, what would you call it? A justice tour of Alagasia.
It's a honeymoon list.
Yes, exactly.
Honey-do list?
Honey-do list, yes. Which does take us to our boy Stronghammer. He's the best honeydoer we know. So if Aragon has spent the majority of this book bringing justice to past situations, I would say Roran is definitely the moving on part of this equation. He rights his central wrong early on in this book. He kills the Razak, gets his girl, and he spends most of the rest of the narrative moving on to a new phase of his life. He's getting married. He's working his way up the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
And he's gaining confidence in his decisions and morals. I mean, that wild sociopath. He's just really doubling and tripling down on what an asshole he is.
Yes, he's always thinking about murder and killing and how he loves it.
And definitely not having crippling guilt and shame about it and doubt. But I think, like I've said before, we're really seeing Roran get over the real doubts he did have all throughout Eldest to be able to make decisions and do things in this book. And even characters, I think, like Neswata and Auric are taking this theme and applying it on a scale that affects the entire war effort. The Varden's offensive push in this book, and I think also in some ways Neswata's whole approach to leadership, is a signal that the rebels are leaving behind the strategies they needed before Aragon and Saphira, and they're moving on to a new phase of this war. And we spent so much time on the dwarven politics in this book, Game of Stones. And I'm really looking at Oric's plotline through the lens I think he presented himself in his speech at the clan meet. He's bringing his people to right their centuries of isolationism and move on to support the Varden wholly and openly and bring down Galbatorix. They're out here with their chests now.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming, and I'm pretty excited about that. So hope. So with this theme in mind, I actually got to thinking about the literary device I talked about back in episode 7. I think the flashbacks that we've seen running throughout this book, kind of the way Christopher Paolini keeps starting right in the middle of the action, flashing back to what happened before, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the idea of righting past wrongs to do better in the future. And it seems more like a pointed choice now than it did when I first brought it up. I mean, at first I was
cool.
It's a literary device. And now I'm like, oh, damn. That had levels.
Paolini had a plan the whole time.
Yes. I'm like, what better way to get your readers to internalize this theme than to show your characters constantly ruminating on the past before tackling obstacles in the present? Like, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
It was an analysis. Number 7.
I did it.
You did it all along.
Look at, I'm righting the wrongs of my past.
This is so meta. Did you get incepted by Christopher Paolini?
Listen, I was in the Matrix, Dane. I think I was seeing sounds when I wrote this, but it does make sense.
Okay, yeah.
Before I let you get to your season finale deep dive, there's one more thing I do want to talk about and actually kind of get your thoughts on here.
Okay.
It struck me that in this book, we had a ton of outright religious scenes and discussion.
Yeah.
Never forget the blood cult or the actual God we saw in the incorporeal flesh.
Yeah.
In this book, I did my whole analysis wrap up of Eldest on religious motifs and allegories in that book because they were so prominent. But all that seems to be dialed back a little bit in Brisingr in favor of on-screen religion. So we're losing a little bit of the like implied our characters are like these people from religion to be able to just have our characters outright saying, I wish I had a religion, or this is what my religion is. And I feel like that shift has been happening kind of since the beginning, I would say, like where these two things have been shifting slowly positions as we've been reading. I have a little bit of a red string conspiracy theory about this, but I wanted to see what you think about it first.
It sounds to me like, I think first and foremost, like the first book was written when he was like 15, right?
Yes.
And then this book, he would be nearing his 20s or in his 20s.
Yes, I think so.
So I mean, I think there's that first.
Yes.
I think that's you. I think as a kid, I think religion is really centered around death. To be honest, I mean, all religions are. It's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
And about how to live your life. I think when you're a kid, you don't have to really worry about how you live your life.
Yeah.
Because other people are worried about that for you.
Yes.
And then I think as a kid, you don't think you're ever gonna die. So like, that doesn't really. It's not like it's like not foremost in your mind. Even when you're thinking about war or like, I remember when I played D&D as a 14-year-old. It's not something I was like, I never put myself in like the horrors of war. So I think most of this is probably that.
Yeah,
just Christopher Paolini as an adult.
Him maturing and like thinking in more depth about religion and what it means and having, I think my thing is kind of in line with that. I think it's kind of the evolution from thinking of religion in terms of its stories, essentially, like the way, you know, Roran was Moses and Aragon was Jesus throughout Eldest. I think those are, you know, the foundational stories of Christianity. And then we had things like the Manoah tree, which clearly is a tree of life tied to many other religions.
Yeah.
And I think those are the hallmarks of religion that really stick out to you when you are younger, when you are a kid. You're like, these are very cool stories. This obviously is a man who loves stories. But I think as you morph into your 20s, this could just be personally for me.
Yeah,
I had talked about it a little bit before, but I do know a lot of people who've been on the same journey around the same time period in their life where you maybe are going to college or you're out of your parents' house, you're meeting new people, you're in a new phase of your life and you're questioning things in a way you haven't really before. So I think maybe this is the book where Christopher Paolini thought as he aged, as he's going through this, his characters also, it would make sense, are questioning these same things. So I think that's why we get it so like outright, so on screen in this book, because it's Aragon wondering what he's going to make of religion in this world with his power, like with all the cultures he's a part of, like what is going to make sense to him as a religious belief.
Which I think tracks that same, I think it makes Aragon doing this in good good timing with his life.
Yes.
Because he's being forced to grow up a little bit faster.
Yes, absolutely.
So it actually, I think it tracks really well.
Well, yeah, and in a vaguely medieval kind of society, like when you're coming of age at 16,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of an analog for our 18 or 20 or however old Christopher Paolini was. So I think this makes a lot of sense to me. So bust out the whiteboards, Dane.
Nice.
Get the red string
I love
around
all the
it up.
conspiracies we have. That's
I
the
know.
best.
We hit book 3 and we're like, you know, it'd be fun as if we just speculate wildly. I like it though. I do think that's kind of maybe a sign that we're pretty deep in the lore here. And like we enjoy it. We enjoy thinking about it, talking about it, making up our own headcanons.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I'm
love it.
enjoying this.
Yes. Are you ready to get into a deep dive, Dane? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Deep dive.
This leads me to my deep dive, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Fucking got you. No deep dive this time. Instead, we are deep diving into the haters.
Actually, you should do your research, huh? Have you even read it? How you pronounce it?
What are the haters saying?
You know there is an index in the back, right?
This is a really derivative.
For this episode.
I'm scared.
Well, haters. Look at what episode it is today. I told you I'd be back to talk about Eragon and how he's not a sociopath, and I bet you thought I'd bitch out. I bet you thought I might bait and switch
Not you.
But no, not this day.
Get him, Dane.
Yeah, I am here to break it down. So come, oh thou haters, from where I banished you this season, for the dark depths of the sea, or the endless abyss of the earth. I am here, oh speakers of hate. Come, the time is nigh, and our face-off is at hand. Also, everybody else, hey, I'm glad you're here.
Oh, what's up?
Welcome. Glad you're, here to enjoy this with us. We're going to be fun, and I just want you to
Yeah.
know you're perfect the way you are.
Yeah, you found your polished horn if you're not a hater. Good for you.
So this is going to be fun. Let's dive in.
Okay.
When I first approached doing this, I was going to go through all the scenes
Yeah.
people pick out and refute them one after the other. And I will get into the top 2 in a few minutes.
Okay.
And maybe as a bonus material, I will just dig into some of them. But I think a more salient and useful thing to start would be to talk about Eragon more broadly in terms of just a few of the key points made by the haters.
Okay.
First, let's be real here. The haters don't like the inheritance cycle or Christopher Paolini.
Yes.
They yell about plagiarism, poor prose, and are just generally sour on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the first point is, haters, you never argue in good faith, are always intentionally forgetting key details to make points in your sporkings, and often make subjective comments about the quality of this series that are fine to make, but are just that. They're subjective.
Yes.
If you don't like Eragon, that is fine. But the whole idea that Eragon is a sociopath is clearly not rooted in the evidence from these books. Eragon, from the haters' perspective, is supposedly an underdeveloped, nonsensical psycho character who is
right.
inconsistent and not completely good from the beginning of this series. But the next thing I'll present to you, haters, is that this is actually true for most characters in fantasy literature, in fiction, and hell, even just the stories of real people.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about some of the popular fantasy and some really conflicting characters you have. You have Wheel of Time. Randall Thor does some wild evil shit.
Yes.
The Blade itself, Inquisitor Sandman Glockter, truly a bad guy. Maybe does the right thing at the end of that series, but
Yeah.
bad.
Yes.
He is just one of the many in that series, full
Yeah.
of great characters who very much fail to be simply good at all.
Yes, that is morally gray to its bitter end, that series, and I love it.
Yeah. Game of Thrones. Jaime Lannister is straight up a beloved character, and I also say pretty evil. Harry Potter. The character is very divisive. He's both loved and hated.
Yes.
It's Snape.
Yes. Of course.
In Dark Tower, we have Roland of Gilead. He's straight up not a good guy.
No.
He is the main hero of that story, also the champion of the white. You know, the good guys.
And that guy murdered an entire town full of people.
Yes.
The good guys.
The good guys. The Stormlight Archives. Dalinar Kholin is arguably pretty bad. Also is the model of good. Jade City, just take your pick. And the Red Rising. Darrow is nuanced, but come on, guys.
Yeah.
The Farseer trilogy, Jade is a tough one.
Yeah.
But I would also say not great. Also, same thing for Fitz.
Okay.
That's just other popular fantasy novels. I'm not even including movies and characters like Kylo Ren, Nebula, Loki, or the whole cast of characters from Succession, Barry, Moon Knight, Andor, and so on.
What do you mean, body?
And my point is, the most beloved and interesting characters are often the most horrible, conflicted, complicated, and nuanced.
Yes.
You can understand their motivations even if they're evil. Hell, you even cheer for them despite their worst characteristics. And that is where the haters are probably yelling at the audio right now. Yes, Dane, those are all well-written characters. Those are all characters that are not written as the paragon of goodness, like Aragon was intended to be. To which I say, Aragon is not written as an all-knowing bastion of good.
Yeah.
He is written clearly and consistently as a teen who wants to do good and be morally just, but who gets wildly different versions of what that means from people like Murtagh, Arya, Oramus, and most importantly, the murderous savage his soul is linked to, Saphira.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, he, like most heroes, is going to make poor choices and have conflicting emotions that seem problematic.
Yeah.
And he almost always is reprimanded and faces consequences for both of those things.
Yes.
I think this is clear.
Yeah.
So let's be honest about fantasy for just a second. In most fantasy stories, like the ones that I mentioned earlier, war and violence is regularly the backdrop.
Yes.
It really is open to question if any of the characters are good. So often the heroes of fantasy stories are damaged and violent people who practice might makes right and sacrifice innocent people in the name of justice, honor, and the greater good, which is what evil people do in the real world. These characters often choose the expediency of violence to change the world into something they want, or they right past wrongs that they themselves committed.
Yes.
Things get even more murky because so many fantasy stories are framed as good versus evil tales, with the characters almost exclusively thinking they are on the right side of history for reasons that make sense to them.
Yeah.
The trick of great fiction is getting the watcher, listener, or reader to agree or at least sympathize with these characters, to understand these characters and their motivations. So haters, why is this crystal clear for you with all the other characters I've mentioned, but not to Aragon? It seems straightforward through all the turmoil we've seen in his point of view that Aragon is not a monster. He's a young man on the run from a tyrannical dictator in the midst of a rebellion, balancing the various challenges that other cultures, races, and something we really don't have to deal with in real life, magic, presents.
Yeah.
On top of all that, he has every desperate faction of a shaky coalition pulling at him as he is presented the only known hope for this rebellion against an extremely evil force.
Casual.
I know, it's wild. Aragon is anything but perfect. He is racist.
Yeah.
A topic that comes up in the second book continues into this book, and other characters have pointed out to him often.
Yes.
Aragon is often rash, quick to judge, and sometimes makes horrible mistakes, like what he did to Elva in the first book. Aragon has always been written like a teen who doesn't know what is right or wrong, is trying to learn, and desperately wants to do what's right.
Yeah.
Which Elva directly speaks to as his greatest fear.
Yeah.
She compares him to Galbatorix because he's afraid of power, leading him on a path of corruption. It seems clear to me with all of that. But if the comparisons to other characters, the fantasy genre at large, or Aragon's circumstances and fears in this story isn't direct enough, let's go further and put Aragon in the context of his world by comparing him to the alternative, Galbatorix. Galbatorix ruined world peace because he lost a loved one. He either directly or indirectly genocided an entire race and forced another two races, the elves and dwarves, to hide from him.
Yeah.
And mind-controlled yet another race, the Urgles.
Right.
Because he wants to keep them on the genocide back burner.
Good, yes. That guy.
Yeah, he's just great. He has allowed slavery in his country and burns villages down, man, woman, and child, to stamp out rebellion. We know he is reportedly mad, killed the first rider who aided him, enslaved a dragon with magic, and spied on, manipulated, and emotionally tortured his only 13 allies until they were killed or unalived themselves.
Oh, yep.
We know he worked with literal man-eating boogie monsters and the very evil spirit zombies that are shades. And finally, his new writer Murtagh is a slave through a magical oath. It is very clear whatever Galbatorix's dreams for the Empire are, he is evil. Straight up.
Yes.
Not a good guy.
Yes.
So in comparison to the morality of Aragon, does Aragon seem bad?
No. And isn't one of the haters' other frequent points that Galbatorix is too one-dimensional because he's only just evil?
Yeah. I just don't get it. Is it even bad for Aragon to enjoy fighting his enemies?
Yeah.
Or feel rage at the violence perpetrated by Galbatorix?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you haters want? Unfortunately, you change tyrants through uprising, rebellions, and war. A lot of innocent people die in those wars. And this is the exact thing is true for so many other stories I've listed. Not to mention, like, real life.
Yes, where that very much is the case.
But if that still doesn't do it for you, let's hit the greatest hits of proof in scenes that are most touted online.
Okay.
Those, of course, include the whole Sloane thing.
Right.
But I've already covered that. So I'll move on to 2 more.
Get him.
Earlier in this book, Aragon kills a soldier while he and Arya are running back to the Varden alone.
Yes.
This chapter is called Mercy, Dragon Rider, and is one of the smoking guns most haters use to point out how evil our main teen is. They often say something along the lines of like, he didn't have to kill him or killed him for no reason. Or they mention the description of Aragon's feelings in this chapter as he enjoys the fight. First, I'll come back to the bad faith argument. This was an enemy soldier.
Yes.
It doesn't matter that he was pressed into the service. It doesn't matter that he also hates Gal. The man is an enemy combatant in an enemy territory during an actual war. He could be the nicest, sweetest guy in the world, and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, logically, what alternatives are there? What are Aragon and Arya supposed to do with this guy who has seen them and knows where they are and has sworn binding magical oaths to obey their enemies?
Right.
If Aragon went into the soldier's mind and found his true name to force him to secrecy, the haters wouldn't like that. It would be mind rape. If Aragon were to tie him up and hide him in the forest, the haters wouldn't like that. He'd likely die of starvation.
Yeah.
This is a no-win situation. Aragon doing anything other than killing this guy puts Arya and himself in unnecessary danger. And for what? What's the reason? Just because it's gross to kill? Yeah, it is gross. And it seems the purpose of making us as readers uncomfortable in this situation is to show us how fucked up this all is and to show how evil Galbatorix is.
Yes.
So this clearly is intended to show how horrible killing is to Aragon, who only chapters before was talking about his PTSD nightmares of the faces of the people he's killed. I just don't buy this scene as a proof point of his viciousness.
No, I really like that you brought up the name of this chapter in this defense, because it just made me remember, like, obviously Christopher Paolini is trying to point this out. He is not shied away from what is the most horrific part of this, which is the man begging for mercy, Dragon Rider. That is the thing that Aragon cannot get out of his head.
Yeah, clearly this was the intent.
Yes.
And if you're a hater and you feel like Aragon didn't respond with the appropriate amount of sadness after murdering this poor boy, may I remind you that this is a book written for teens. I don't think the goal is to be depressing. I think the real trouble here is balancing the right amount of realistic, heavy topics with a good dose of legendary heroism to keep a teen's attention. If it doesn't strike the right balance to be palatable to you, fair. But again, that is subjective. It doesn't mean it's objectively poorly written or poorly supported in the text. Even if you're adamant that this is the case in this one situation, there are 3 books of Aragon's thoughts and actions, and I think he should be judged with all those other choices and feelings in mind.
The same way anybody should be judged by the totality of their character.
It's wild, which leads to the other major scene the haters like to bring up. Aragon genocided the Razak in this book. And I have to say, one is a little bit more complicated, and I feel like we need to start with what we know about the Razak.
Okay.
They are the natural predators of humans.
Major key alert.
They eat human flesh to survive. Even if there were Razak who were generous, kind, loving parents who donated to the local certain theater and recycled, they would still need to eat humans. And most humans don't like being eaten.
Interesting point, yes.
Yeah, so there is a tough problem. The Razak's diet is going to require disfigurement at the very least.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, murder.
Yeah.
So what is a human hero supposed to do in enemy territory without a council of philosophical sages and no way to reasonably banish said Razak. And to be clear, this dude is very evil and has committed horrible acts, not to mention the whole bloodletting death that feeds it.
Right.
I think in this tight spot, genocide is actually okay. Is it good? No, it's genocide.
Yes.
But back in my chapter summaries, I made a joke about like intelligent giant bears hunting humans in our real world and how we would almost certainly react by killing them all.
Yes.
I think this is another no-win situation. While I don't think the choice is a good one, I don't count it as a wholly bad one either.
Yeah.
Which gets to the crux of this situation. If you think it's bad like I do, then you must ask yourself about the alternatives. Not insane ones. Ones that like a hero in a time crunch alone, hunted by a basically a god king, can actually do with a creature that clearly hates him.
Yes.
The only alternatives I can come up with or have seen are the ones that risk Aragon and his well-being for an evil human eater.
Yes, not really a bargain you'd expect anyone to make.
Yeah. Also, there's a lot of flack for Aragon not promising to keep the memory of the boogie monster race alive to frighten humans for ages.
Cool.
Why is this a bad thing for Aragon to say no? He's not responsible first for the legacy of the Razak's race.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how this is lost on people. Yeah. But also, who would agree to this? Isn't the desire to be remembered as a nightmare to all other beings evil in and of itself?
You would think so, yes.
And I could go on. And again, I might do just that in some bonus content.
We've riled him now, kids.
Or over on our social medias with some of the haters' other favorite points.
Yeah.
But I think these things are too often used in bad faith, discounting all the conflicting evidence that shows a teen who clearly seems to want to do well, but can't always figure out how. It would make this section even longer, and I think I have ranted enough here. So to the haters, I rest my case in the defense of Aragon. I am aware that this will likely change none of your hate and might actually make some of you angry, but I do think it's time to push back on this idea. I think it's time someone else spent as much time rejecting your opinions as you do ranting about them on the internet. They are, at the end of the day, exactly that, opinions. And I'm just asking you to kindly please, if you do not like this book, stop reading it. The defense rests, Your Honor.
That's it, my honor. Fuck yeah, Dane. Get him.
Wow. I did not expect to get so riled up.
I loved it.
Yeah. I felt like Atticus Finch there.
Hell
for a
yeah.
second.
I was somewhere. I was gone. I was definitely full To Kill a Mockingbird. I love that. I think you're totally right, though. If these people just want to yell about this in bad faith, why? How is that serving you? Question some of your choices.
Yes.
Does it make you happy to do this? If it does, I mean, I guess do it, but there's no way it makes you at peace as a human to be this hateful. I do not get it.
Well, I also think the motivation for a lot of this is like you have people who love The Lord of the Rings, or you have people who love Star Wars, or what other book you think this was plagiarized from. And so rather than like just say it was plagiarized and be like, I don't like it because it takes too much from a book I love.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the motivations for this is, I don't like this. I also think a lot of writers, like aspiring writers, are really upset about this book.
What?
And I think they think the quality is low, and that like fact that he's young bothers them. And like I think there's an element here of jealousy. Like I'm a better writer, I'm older.
Interesting.
And I think that's where a lot of this started back in the day.
That's an interesting take. I just am wondering though too, throughout a lot of those points, because you're right, that's exactly what the haters are saying. That's exactly how they're using some of these bad faith arguments. And I'm just like, I cannot help but wonder, maybe this is the like need to know everyone's emotions at all times in me, but like, are these people like this all the time in their real lives? Do they do this with people they know, with situations that are close to them? Like, what are you out here doing if you cannot bring yourself to consider the totality of a person or what led them to make their choices? Like,
well, and they don't
not
believe
that you owe it to a book character, but it just seems wild to me.
Well, also this all is subjective, and like I was a middle school teacher, and like when you give kids books, they will give them right back to you if they do not like them. They are not like, they don't have a lot to pull from, and
middle
frankly,
schoolers not famously tactful.
No, they're not. And I will say Aragon is still read in middle school because kids like it. So
Good.
whether
Hell
or not,
yeah.
So like whether or not you like it as a 30-year-old adult, or like you're 21 and you read this book a decade ago,
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be, other people like it.
Yes.
It's holding up.
Yes.
Yeah, Disney Plus bought it. Disney bought it. Like there's something here.
Yes, there's definitely some there. This is a story that resonates with people for one reason or another. If it's not your bag, it's not your bag. That is fine.
Yeah.
And if you want to point out things that are reasonable and objective,
Yeah.
or your opinions, and you frame them as opinions, all totally fine. Do that. That's great. That's how we have discourse.
Yeah.
But like,
it's a good thing.
yes, if you want to just shit all over every part of this book and its main character because it rubs you the wrong way, like, I'm not having it, Dane.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's not great, Dan.
And as a reminder, like if you're like, why are they going on about this? This book just has, I think, more than any other book I have personally ever read.
Yeah.
Just like it had a whole anti-shirtical website.
That's right.
Like this is a whole community of people who hate this. And so, I'm sure some of them are very nice people.
Yes.
And like I don't think there's a personal animosity, but I do think I didn't see a lot of defenses, and a lot of people just, especially in the early days, early internet,
Yes.
piled on, and I just didn't see a lot of people refuting, because I think they're afraid.
Yeah.
I think people are afraid to be like, I like this thing that is maybe flawed a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like not afraid, because I also think like bad faith arguments, we can both do that. You know what I mean? If we want to do
If
that.
everyone wants to do that, let's go. But
Yeah,
we
but that's
don't
enough.
want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't want to do
No.
that. And so we wanted to mention it when we read through this book.
Yes.
But that is enough time on the haters.
Good for you, dude.
Because we're done with the third book.
I know. I'm so excited. I feel like this final big wrap up scene and like fight scene is really prepping us for like, I bet shit is about to pop off in Inheritance.
I want to read the other book now.
Yeah, we're gonna go balls to the walls. Well, we're starting. It's coming. We're gonna start
We
diving
gotta get
in.
to work.
Hell yeah, I'm
Well,
excited.
How did this book hold up for you against
Ooh.
the last one?
Okay.
Against Eldest.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, I think that's probably how I arrived at the theme of this book, just by comparing it to the last two, because it does seem like it picked up so many pieces of what had come before, what maybe was rubbing people the wrong way or characters the wrong way in this world from the first two books, and like picking up those threads, maybe explaining some of them, closing some loops so that we can get to like killing the big bad. We're on a road here to me, like very clearly. It feels, I guess, in context, knowing that this was originally supposed to be a trilogy, Christopher Paolini ended up breaking it into 4 books. This feels very indicative of that to me. It's like, okay, he did the first part of the finale here, where you're like gearing up, getting ready to go. Everyone's got their armor on, Dane, and now I'm like ready for Inheritance.
Yeah, I think I will always struggle with this book, because I did not know this was not going to be a trilogy when I read it.
You have a big T trauma about this book coming out.
So like I was shocked when
Yes.
this was not the end of the series.
Yeah.
And every time I read this, I'm like, this book's okay.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
it wasn't the end. And
No, this is, I think, my least favorite of the 4.
Yes.
So like, I like this book, and there's some interesting things in it, but I love Eldest so much.
Okay.
That's like one of my favorite books in the series, that like reading this one for me is always like, okay.
It's a bit of a come down off Eldest because you like that book so much.
I like that book so much.
That totally makes sense. Can I ask a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well,
What's
thanks, guys. Yeah.
If you could add one character to this book, what do you think they'd add to the story? Like, if you're thinking about it being a little bit of a come down off Eldest, is there like an addition or a character that might help to fix that for you?
I don't know if there's a character that would fix that for me, but I do I love this because I've always had this idea that I would love a new point of view.
Okay.
And so I would love a Urgel point of view.
Yeah.
And I would love it from the context of like, I think you could really enhance Roran's whole chapters.
Yes.
By giving him a squad, essentially.
Yeah.
So like if you had like an Urgel who had like another character with him, it'd almost be like a 2-ad.
Okay.
And then Karn, Roran, and like 2 other characters
hell yeah.
ended up being like a squad.
Yeah. Gruesome foursome.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. And I'd love to get a Nargashvog might work, but I would love to get like a totally new Urgal opinion
Yeah, I like that.
and insight into everything that's going on.
Yes, that feels very on brand for you, Urgal
Yes,
man.
I like the Urgals.
I do like that. It's interesting. We have a hive mind now. That's kind of where my head was on this
Really?
question too. Yes.
No
Not
way.
necessarily adding a lot more characters. I think maybe both of us are in a position where we're like, we like what's here. We love what's here.
Yeah.
I wish we could get more in depth on some pieces of it. So my thought too was like, I don't necessarily need to add a new character. I more would love to add some like clarifying points of view, that kind of thing. And it got me thinking to what we talked about with Arya earlier in the season. It was kind of your point. Like, I think maybe having some Arya point of view would clear up a lot of what feels maybe out of place or conflicting about her characterization. I would really, I think this book could benefit so much from something like that. And I think it would add so much to like the action scenes. I think it would add so much to the world building. We'd get a little bit of an insider point of view with the elves, something that might be a little conflicting with like the elves are the gods of this world, because famously Arya is outside of her people. She's an emissary to the Varden. So I think it'd be fun to get a little bit of that.
You open up a whole nother world, actually, because you said Arya. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But for whatever reason, that made me think this time of like Brisingr Garta.
Oh.
We like Karn so much.
Yes.
It might not be cool. I mean, maybe you use Triana, or maybe you use just a new person in Brisingr Garta so you can get more Triana. I would kind of like to see what's going on with them during these battles.
Yes.
But also just politically. And I think we could see Nuswada. We'd be able to see Arya's almost always with the Varden, so we'd see her from that
That's true.
perspective. I think that may be
Yeah,
really
you
cool.
have to imagine Arya and Triana are having a couple brunches now and then. Like, they definitely hang out.
They definitely hang out. Okay, so out of all the characters, which one's your favorite?
Ooh,
We have
great
enough
question.
now. We have enough.
For sure. I think it is maybe tight race between Saphira, just because we finally got her points of view in this book. I'm like, oh shit, she is so fun. And I think the stuff with Auric really shines in this book for me too. I mean, he's more secondary. He maybe is just not on screen enough for me to go like favorite character at this point in the series, but everything he's doing is so fun. He straight up does not miss in this book. He does not put a single dwarven, one of his single 7 toes out of line, Dane.
He's perfect. Yeah, he crushes it. He's always fun.
Yes,
I agree.
I think I'll go Saphira though. I think it's so much fun getting that like new insight into her character and seeing her without Aragon, seeing how she interacts with Nuswada on her own, how she interacts with Roran on her own.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I totally agree. I would have to say Nasawada.
Okay, yeah.
I think at this point, like, I think we don't see a lot of her in this book.
Yeah, you love a woman who's maybe trying to murder Roran.
Well, I do kind of. Yeah, I like that complexity in a character, and I would love to see. This is what I mean. I don't mind if our characters are maybe morally more gray either. This isn't about like
that's usually fun.
Yeah, I like that. I like Nasawada. I like that. Maybe that's a problem with her. I would love to see more of her, and I think she's great. The only other character that actually sticks out to me, and it always sticks out in this book, is Karn.
Yeah.
I just love that guy.
Yes, he's so good. I think maybe we can do favorite primary character, favorite secondary character. So you're Nuswada and Karn. I'm Saphira and Auric.
Yes, that's what we would do.
Love it.
Perfect. Of all the characters, which one is your least favorite?
Oh, what a great question.
I will go first while you're thinking about it.
Okay.
No, because I think it's obvious to everyone who's listened. If you've listened so far, you know which one I hate the least, or hate the most. I'm not a big fan of Angela.
Yeah.
And I know she is a fan favorite, and there are a lot of people
She's a Christopher Paolini favorite too.
Yes, and there are a lot of people who are very upset with me and are like, well, how can you not love her?
Yeah.
I think she is kooky. I think she is funny. I think she is cool. I don't think those are the problems with her. She seems so disconnected from the story to me. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, I think that's what makes her fun to a lot of people.
Yeah.
For me personally, it takes me out of it. And we have so many characters make fun of Aragon. And not that Aragon shouldn't be made fun of. He should.
Yeah.
It just seems like she could. I think maybe what would do it for me with her is if she was nicer, but there's some weird interactions with her. And then some of the stuff that she does to be important and be connected to the story in Eldest when she poisons everybody.
Yes.
Or knowing to speak with all the Urgals and knowing how to fix Elva. they're never explained, which I think a lot of people like the mystery of it, but I don't. I'm like, great, of course she can do that. And she always takes me out of the story a bit. So it's not that she's not funny or cool or that Solumbum's not cool. I think all of that is cool. I just don't. She just rubs me the wrong way. And I'm always just like, okay, great. Yeah.
That's fair.
Glad you're here. You know what I mean?
Oh, good. Angela's here.
And I get that that's a hot take. I get that there's people, if you love Angela and you love Aragon, most people, they go hand in hand.
Yes.
Not my favorite situation.
Yes. She reads to me definitely as comedic relief. Reading this like so closely with you this time, I'm like, oh my God, what is she doing? She usually just like is wiling out. I think for me personally, I'm just like, oh, that's intended to be like a very specific mid-aughts read on like a strong kooky woman who just like takes no shit. And
maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just like, this could have been done different. In a way that
I don't know that it necessarily ages well. I think definitely when I read it first, I was like, oh my God, Angela is so savage, like so sassy, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I've definitely lost a little bit of that shine here. I don't know if it's just because it's aging poorly or because it's aging poorly and it's pointed out like very directly how fucking weird it is. But that makes sense.
In comparison to someone like Arya, like I don't necessarily like Arya a lot. But I do not feel the way I do about like Arya as I do with Angela.
Yes.
Like I want to like Arya more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot of this feels more earned with Arya, I think, because we know so much more about her. That's something you talk about sometimes.
Yeah.
And Arya mostly suffers from like something that's not necessarily in her characterization. It's just that she's like so super powered. It's like, what? Yes. I think Arya's thing is more like in comparison with Aragon, where you start to like break down a little bit. That makes sense. I think in this book, it's tough because there's so many small things, I guess, to me that it's hard for me to be like, well, which of these things is my least favorite of all of them, you know? I think I'm going King Oren just because of what a turn his character took in this book. The tough looks. Yeah. The tough looks for our guy. I mean, he's pretty secondary, so I don't know if it like rates super highly on like
no, I like that because
important least favorite characters, but he's just really being a dick, and it is making me genuinely worried for like where his character is going to go in Inheritance.
Future. Yeah. And this is like kind of your Arya to Angela situation because we get Murtagh.
Yeah.
Who has a very similar thing going on. So much more well done.
Yes, and so much more nuanced because he's our primary like outlet for morally gray kind of bad guy.
Yeah. Oren, it's pretty abrupt, and I wonder.
Oren.
Well, there is that one chapter where Aragon goes to dinner with him.
Yes.
And then we don't get that; it's just listed.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if there was maybe a chapter or two that was pulling out where he was there with Nasawada.
Yeah.
That maybe would have helped with that. But I
could see that.
Totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. I think just one more question.
Okay.
In the spirit of ranking things, what do you think is like your top tier scene in this book that stands out to you? The thing you remember, like between reads, the thing that like
I know
hits home.
Yeah, it stands out. I like literally think about this when I think about the series.
Oh, damn.
When Murtagh yells at Oramis at the end of the series.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Where were you?" And he's like very mad. I that breaks my heart.
Yes.
Because like clearly, I mean, so much mixed emotions there. But I really think that comes from, I think you can just feel it the way it's written, that he's like, there, shit. Like a little bit of like, fuck, are we going to be the bad guys and get killed here?
Yeah.
But also just like the anger that Murtagh has for the world being so unfair. There must have been so many thoughts. Like, of course, Aragon knows who this guy is. Of course, Aragon's probably been helped by this guy.
Yes.
Of course, this guy's been here forever.
Yes.
How unfair, how unfair. I love that.
Yes, I agree. Especially because we have his first fight with Aragon right before Roran's wedding. And we get so much of what we know is just churning through his emotions.
Yes.
It makes that scene tough to read. I would agree.
What about you?
I know. I love that I asked this question because I'm immediately like, wow, I don't remember anything about this. No, not nothing, but like, I feel like I'm.
Is there anything that like
so much time lapsed between rereads? Like the thing that stands out, or the thing that like I remembered about this book is just like basic bitch as basic bitch gets. It's the sword forging. Like the book is called Brisingr. I'm like, oh, that's right. This is the scene where like he goes full like hero of legend, like 24-hour all-nighter forging his like legendary sword. So that definitely is something I remember. I think on this read though, the thing that stood out, the thing I think I will remember in future reads or like about this series as a whole that really really hit home is that message from Brom through Saphira to Eragon. Like I could well up thinking about it. Currently, we are like weeks away from having read it together, like weeks away from me having written about it in the summary. And I'm just like, oh my God, that was so devastating. It colors so much of Brom's character when we see him in the first book. I do not think I'm ever going to be able to reread the series as a whole. Like, I think something about reading that as an adult, I'm just like, oh my God. Yes.
The honorable mention for Nasawada's Trial of the Long Knives.
Yes. Yeah. Strong agree. That was something that like, as soon as I saw that chapter title, I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's in this book.
Get it. Yeah.
Get him, girl.
Yeah. I think we're done.
Yes, on that note, on Queen President, Renaissance Beyonce, Queen President.
I think we've talked about this book as much as we can.
Well,
that's not
knowing
true.
us,
we probably go on.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But thank you so much for listening to this season.
Yes.
When Jackson and I started this, I wasn't sure what would actually happen, but the best thing so far has been the fun.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of work, but also a lot of goofing around. Talking about the series has been pretty fun.
Yes.
We hope it brought you some joy, a few laughs, but most importantly, has brought you back to Eragon.
Yeah.
We'll be back in 2 weeks to start Inheritance.
Yes.
Until then, keep your soul bond close and your heart of hearts closer.
Let's go!
See you next time, guys.
Or is this just fantasy? We're just two nerds and we love our fantasy. Come on and listen to us next time. Find out what our deep dive will be. Thanks for catching our show.
How it works, sir?
Hold on. I'm on the phone. Hold on. I got bird tag on that. Okay, hold on. Get him. Put on your business face. Put on your business face.
Wait, you're on through Murder?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
sir.
hold on. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, okay.
So you survived, Oramis and Gleta.
Oh, sir. It sounds amazing.
You like that?
I love it.
People love when I put on that voice. Okay, here we go.
Long have I thought the elves might be hiding a dragon or rider from my sight. It is gratifying to have my suspicions confirmed.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
Oh, he's saying something, sir.
Sorry. Listen. Okay.
Such a harsh greeting, for shame. Oramis Elder, have the elves forgotten their fabled courtesy over the past centuries?
Got him. Snap. I got him. Snap. Also, this man is rude. Rude.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Oh, fuck you, Oramis.
Tut, Oramis. Remember what you said to me when I stood before you and the other elders? Anger is a poison. You must purge your mind, or else it will corrupt your better nature. You should heed your own advice.
I am getting sick of these people. Can you hear what he's talking to me?
Sir, remember your silver tongue.
Oh,
Commit
silver
to I think you could get him, sir. I think you could turn him.
All right, this is my best thing. I wrote this down earlier. Here we go.
But why should I, Oramis? Why should you pit yourselves against me?
A bunch of bitches.
It saddens me that you allowed your hate to distort your wisdom.
For you were once, thank you.
For you were once wise, Oramis. Perhaps the wisest member of our entire order.
Actually, that's not true. We all hated him very much. Okay.
Spill the tea, sir.
You were the first to recognize the madness eating away my soul, and it was you who convinced the other elders to deny my request for another dragon egg.
Go off, Queen. Absolutely go off, Queen.
We are best
King,
friends.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That was very wise of you, Oramis. Futile but wise, and somehow you managed to escape from Kilandi and Fomora, even after they broke you. And then you who hid until all but one of your enemies had died. That was too wise of an elf.
Sir, you are absolutely slaying
I think he's
this.
gonna come. I think he's gonna come
I
around.
think so too. Oh, could you imagine the cripples on our side?
I just, he's going on quite a bit. He's yap, yap, yap.
Those elves, I mean, so full of themselves, sir, am I right?
He's trying to fight me now?
Oh,
He
great.
has no idea who he's dealing with. I'm Gal, baby.
You know what you should do, sir?
Yeah.
You should knock that fucking sword out of his hand.
Yeah,
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, let's get the cripple. Here we go. Your philosophy does not constrain me, elf. I am the greatest of magicians, and soon I will be greater still. Death will not take me. You, however, should die. But first you must suffer. I'm slaying this right
you're
now. You
killing
will
it.
both suffer beyond imagining, and then I will kill you, Oribus, and I shall take your heart of hearts later, and you will serve me until the end of time.
Oh my god, yes, queen!
Oh, look, I'm sword fighting through Murtag now. Woo, look at me. Doot. Up, got him. Of course I got him. I gotta say, this is a lot of fun through Murtag. We should just do most of our work through this guy.
Sir, you know what? I think that makes perfect sense given